welcome back to another episode of Wrestle Capsule, where you're going to be getting your weekly dose of pro wrestling talk. And I'm your host, V. So welcome back to the show. You already know what we're going to talk about. Wednesday Night Dynamite. Let's get into it right now. So prior to Dynamite coming on, I was on Twitter. If you guys don't follow me on Twitter or Instagram, what are you doing? Just follow me, okay? It'll be fun, I promise. So yeah, I was on Twitter and I saw that Tony Khan had tweeted something because I follow him on Twitter. And he was mentioning that everyone should tune in to Dynamite because he has an announcement about the championships, the trios, and the world title. So stay tuned. And there was a lot of stuff running through my mind. I didn't know what he was going to do, if there were going to be interim trios and interim AEW World Champions. You guys already know, I've talked about it countless times on this channel, how I feel like interim champions is a total and complete BS concept, that it should never be. And I'm not going to get too much into it because I've already done that in other episodes. But yeah, I thought he was going to do that. And I know there was a lot of rumblings of what might happen. There's people that were saying that people were going to get fired or people were going to get suspended. And then we're all wondering what was going to happen with the titles. So fast forward Dynamite, and Tony Khan starts off the night. I was thinking that this man was going to come out to the ring to make his announcement, but he did not. It was video recorded. And the moment he came on the Titantron and he started talking, people in Buffalo, New York were like booing. I was assuming that the reason why they were booing was because they were expecting, because I know everyone has a Twitter, it's something, some sort of social media access to some sort of information, knowing that he was going to make this announcement. So in my mind, I was assuming that people were booing because they were expecting him to come out, not to make a video about this announcement. And I feel like for me, that was a personal letdown. But I understand, because maybe this man was nervous. I don't know. I don't know if he's ever been in sort of situation like this before. It's one thing to own a football team and other, like soccer teams and other stuff like that, but it's another to own a wrestling company and deal with pompous, selfish, egotistical individuals who have a huge chip on their shoulder. And I'm not targeting this at a certain wrestler. I'm just talking about wrestlers who fit the description. Not trying to bash anybody at this point because the damage is already done and they did it themselves. But yeah, so I was disappointed that he had a video instead of actually coming out to talk to the fans. But on the flip side, would you feel comfortable coming out, but at the same time, you are the owner of the company? So yeah, that was a letdown. But what he said wasn't a letdown. So in the end, you already know this. He decided that the Trios Championships and the AEW World Championships were to be vacated. There's no interim, none of that junk. Like it's done. Kenny, Bucks, they lost. They forfeited their Trios belts, and CM Punk forfeited his AEW World Championship belt. So how do I feel about it? I feel like that was the right decision to make. Probably, I don't know if it's a popular or unpopular belief. I really don't care at this point. People are going to have their own opinion about this. I feel like this was fair because both parties, both the EVPs and the face of the company, the world champion, CM Punk, they both did wrong. Point blank period. They both did wrong. Whether you agree about it or not, that says everything about your character, but I'm not going to even go into that. But this is fair. EVPs did wrong. Punk did wrong. Consequences, the whole fight, just bad on all sides. Bad on all sides. So I feel like Tony Khan not even mentioning their names, I feel like some people were pissed off about it. They were pissed off how he was vague about things. Like, he didn't explain what happened. He didn't bring attention to anything. But for me, I'm thinking as a businessman, I'm wondering, because last time I checked, they were still doing, like, there was still some sort of investigation going on. Correct me if I'm wrong, but because of that, I'm assuming, and especially since it got so physical and people getting hit with chairs and stuff like that, I'm thinking about lawyers. I'm thinking about the legal side of things. I'm wondering if he was instructed by legal counsel to not say certain things. People are not fired. Right now, as we know, people are suspended. So I'm feeling like that was probably the best bet for Toni to do it that way, especially if legal counsel instructed him to do that, and if there's lawyers involved and cops involved and all that stuff later, because it got brutal. So I feel like that was probably best. He needs to take a stand as a owner of AEW, and that's what he did last night. Took him long enough, but he did it. And it just makes sense. Instead of coming out and, like, he needs to have that sort of, he should have already had that sort of, he's not, let's get it straight, he's not AEW talent. He is the owner of AEW. He should put himself at some sort of level, high level, where you get a owner's address, just like we got last night on Dynamite, where he tells us what's going on, what we need to know. I mean, all the other stuff, let's be real. We can go on Twitter for that. We can go on a Wrestling Report website for that. We can go on Instagram for that. Like, people are going to make up their own assumptions about what happened based off of the information that is afforded to us anyway. So, I mean, Toni did what he knew best and what he felt was right. So it is what it is. I'm just thankful he did something about it. I'm thankful that he didn't throw it under the rug and be like, okay, everyone's keeping their titles and we're just going to have interim champions. Like, that would not have flied with me. Granted, who am I? I'm just a YouTuber. But I feel like some sort of reprimandness needed to happen, and it did, and I'm glad. For the Trios Championship, since that's vacated, there is going to be a match on Dynamite, which was the Best Friends versus the Death Triangle. And then for the AEW World Championship, there's going to be a championship tournament. And the first match for that tournament was going to be Bryan Danielson versus Hangman Adam Page. But before I get into all of that, let's talk about what happened after Tony Khan addressed the AEW fans. So after the video, guess who comes out? MJF. And everyone in the arena was happy. There was a huge pop. Everyone was just cheering and excited for MJF to come out. What was weird to me was he was acting like a face. And I'm like, how long is this going to last? Like, this is not him. And I feel like we needed, with all the crap that happened on Sunday, we needed a distraction, and we needed some sort of sign that AEW is still alive and kicking, even if it's like doing, you know how like, even, you know how like you see fish on dry land and they're like, even if we got some sort of life, sign of movement. Like, I feel like the best move that Toni made was to put workhorses and like just top talent in AEW like Jon Moxley and MJF at the beginning of Dynamite. I feel like that was so important to not only save face, but to show the fans we're still moving forward. We still have talent here. It's still about wrestling, because that's what we're here for. I know that I'll speak for myself. That's what I'm here for. I'm not here for this drama. I'm here for the wrestling. That's what I love. That's why I made this channel. So yeah, MJF is being a face and he's pretending to be a face, obviously. But yeah, he's smiling. He's talking about how, like, he wasn't ever going to leave AEW. He loves it here. He's never leaving this place. He apologized and all this stuff like that. But all that was short-lived because Jon Moxley interrupted MJF's promo. And then he came out because Jon Moxley is a part of the tournament for the AEW World Championship. And we all know that MJF has a ticket and has an opportunity. So whoever wins this tournament for the AEW World Championship, MJF has every right to have a match with them for the belt. So it makes total sense that Moxley would come out. And it's like when Moxley came out and interrupted MJF, MJF went right back to his heel self. And when I tell you, I love Moxley's promos. He is so intense. He's so intense. And I feel like it was genius to have Jon Moxley come out and, you know, have his words with MJF, only to have him kick him out of the ring so he could say what he needed to say, because Moxley is one of the reasons why we still watch AEW. He is definitely a top draw, and he's definitely amazing on the mic. And his promo was basically not just about him wanting the AEW World Championship title back, but also about why AEW is so important. Even during the pandemic, how AEW continued to deliver and push past the adversity. And it was just getting all the fans like behind him and behind AEW. And I feel like that was smart on Tony's end to have him come out, because he just addressed things without addressing things and brought it back to what was really important. What was important all along, which was pro wrestling, getting in the ring and delivering and being entertaining to the fans, because that's real wrestling fans. That's what we truly, truly care about. And I feel like Moxley did a fantastic job encapsulating and bringing all that to the forefront, because that's what's important. Not the drama in the back, not the fighting, not the just pettiness, not the back and forth and the talk behind people's back, but the wrestling itself. I feel like he was one of my favorite AEW champions. Hands down, one of my favorite. And we got to have him twice. So definitely one of my favorites. Their dynamic is just interesting, but in a great way. But one thing I will say that I did not like about this segment is the multiple references to WWE. Let me say this. If WWE is not competition to AEW, if these two separate wrestling companies have nothing to do with one another, and there is no, competition, there's no, if that's the case, why do they have to be references to WWE on the product, on AEW product? I feel like I'm over it. At first, it was funny and it would create a really good pop with the fans in the crowd. But at this point, I'm over it. If that's just me, that's just me. I don't care. But I mean, within me saying that I'm over it, one of the funny parts of MJF referencing some sort of WWE-ness was when he referenced Cody Rhodes. And I was like, dude, is that the right time to be mentioning Cody Rhodes? Like, let me read it because I have my notes. He was like, MJF, when he went back to his, normal heel self, he was like, maybe I take that title because Moxley is sure that he's going to win. And MJF is like, you're right. No. He said, maybe I take that title to a real wrestling company, WWE, duh, with real fans and real wrestlers, like my friend and hero, the American Roller Coaster, Cody Rhodes. Okay, there's so much to unpack with MJF mentioning Cody Rhodes. First of all, we already know he's at WWE. Second of all, we also know that there was beef between the MVPs and Cody Rhodes prior to him departing from AEW. But let's not even go there. But yeah, like I was like, oh, that was the only part of mentioning WWE where I was just like, oh, MJF is gonna say whatever the freak he wants. And then he also mentioned Nick Khan, and I was just like, stop. And I'm just like, stop talking about that's the only con that he wants to work with in wrestling. Hop off of it, stop. So then we have the AEW Trios Championship match between Death Triangle versus Best Friends and Orange Cassidy. And guys, I'm sorry, whenever I say Best Friends, in my mind, I'm automatically including Orange Cassidy, but let me be technically correct, Best Friends and Orange Cassidy, but I always loop them as Best Friends. Come on. You got to give the people what they want.
And you got to give the people what they want.
So for this match, I was so pumped to see Best Friends be in it. I love Death Triangle. I love the Lucha Bros. I love Pac. But I feel like Best Friends, like I said before, I wanted Best Friends to win the tournament on past Sunday at All Out, but they didn't. So I was like, oh my gosh, this is their second chance. So I wanted them to win, but they didn't. Death Triangle won. And I don't know, that made me feel a little weird. For one thing, Pac has the All Atlantic Championship, and then the Lucha Bros have already been tag team champions. Best Friends haven't gotten nada, nouch, nothing since being in AEW. Then we have the AEW Interim Women's World Championship Eliminator match between Toni Storm and Penelope Ford. I forgot how good Penelope Ford is. And can I just say, because maybe you guys let me know in the comments if you felt this way. I remember before Kip and Penelope stepped away from AEW, I remember whenever they would come out, they would always kiss each other. It was just so cringy. So then seeing Sammy and Ty do it, it's even more cringy now. But I love the fact that they're not really doing that. So, Kip came out as Box Man with the box on his head, and Penelope came out. And they're none of all that crap. I was like, okay, good. We just wrestle. So yeah, they had their match, and I enjoyed the match. It was great to see Penelope in the match with Toni because it really made her look like a good contender for the women's championship. And of course, it was nice to see Toni Storm. Like, I'm not going to say that I don't like Toni. Toni is so talented. She's so seasoned. Like, she's seasoned. She was in WWE. She's a freaking seasoned wrestler, and everyone is for her. There was a match, TNT Championship, champion Wardlow versus Tony Nese. Again, I knew that Wardlow was going to retain the championship, and he did. Wardlow defeated Nese. But it was very nice to see Wardlow go off. Because I feel like it's important. I feel like people are caring less and less about the TNT championship. And I feel like it was important for Wardlow to exert his dominance as the champion of this title and remind people why he is the champion. And I hope Toni does more with Wardlow. I hope he gets into matches with people where in our minds we're like, okay, is Wardlow going to lose this? Because I feel like he needs to be put up against wrestlers who are going to give him a run for his money just to build him as a champion. Like, I don't even remember if they've wrestled before, but I feel like I would love to see Powerhouse Hobbs built up. Wardlow and Powerhouse Hobbs have a match for the TNT, but I want there to be a feud built there. They're two big powerhouse dudes. I would love for both of them to have a rivalry at some point. I know Powerhouse is in the middle of a whole thing with Ricky Starks, but after that's done or whatever, I would love for Powerhouse Hobbs and Wardlow to have like an actual storyline. So after that match, then there was the Grand Slam Tournament of Champions. to find out who was going to be crowned the new AEW World Championship. So this match was Hangman Adam Page versus Bryan Danielson. Now, I know people were feeling a certain type of way that Hangman Adam Page was in the tournament because of all the drama. But remember, one, he wasn't in the fight. And the reason why the EVPs in Punk are suspended and lost their titles is because of the fight, not because of the tomfoolery and the behind the scenes crap that was going on. It was because of the altercation that happened. So Adam wasn't a part of that. He wasn't in that. So I feel like he has every right to be in this tournament. So okay. This Grand Slam tournament match was so good. Was so freaking good. I did not know who was going to win. I wanted Hangman Adam Page to win. I know everyone was like, oh, what? Why would you want that? I like Hangman Adam Page. I do. Sue me. But overall, this match was so good. Like, both of them brought down the house. But one thing I will say is when Hangman Adam Page did come out to go into the ring, I could tell that the audience wasn't sure whether to boo him or cheer him. So I heard I heard them cheering, but it wasn't as big as it used to be. And of course, it's because of all the stupid, crappy drama. Quite honestly, it makes sense that now, as I'm talking about it to you guys, it does make sense for Danielson to advance because whoever won this match, which was Danielson, is going to go on to have a match with Jericho within the tournament. So now that is going to be interesting. So now they're going to have their rematch from what they had on Sunday for All Out, but this time it is for the championship. So, and they already have their beef because of Danny Garcia and all that stuff. So now I'm okay with it because that's gonna be good. Like, it's Jericho and Danielson. Like, it's gonna be good. It's fine. Yo, I cannot believe that Daniel Garcia won the Ring of Honor Pure Championship. They were in Europe. They were in his hometown. He got, I would say, sung out, but he wasn't sung out. He was rapped out by a local Buffalo rapper. I think his name is West Side Gun. Yeah, West Side Gun came out to essentially, I'm just gonna say rap him out because I mean he's a MC. So he was rapping, and then Daniel Garcia came out. Danny Garcia won that match. It was like, who could put the person into the best submission for them to tap out? That's what I was getting from this match. And it was so good. I thought that Wheeler was going to retain the ROH Pure Championship, but he didn't. And the crowd was all for Daniel Garcia. I feel like this was a smart move on Tony's part because he's in his hometown. Everyone's rooting for Garcia. You had a Buffalo rapper come out. It was all set up for Garcia to win. He's holding up the title. Daniel Garcia is holding up the title. And Bryan Danielson comes out. And I thought Bryan was going to like bust Daniel Garcia in the head with the title because of the Blackpool Combat Club. But no, he like snatched it out of his hand and he put it around his waist. And I was like, oh shoot, is Daniel Garcia about to become a part of the Blackpool Combat Club? That's what I want. And Jericho saw that, was like, oh, heck no, hold on, fish. We ain't gonna do that. No, he's my dude. He's supposed to be in Jericho Association Society, not at the Blackpool Combat Club. So he comes out, he's like, at the end of the night, he's like, what are you doing? What is going on? So that is definitely building for the next part of the tournament between Bryan Danielson and Jericho. So I'm like, oh, okay, this is good. So guys, let me know what you thought about Wednesday Night Dynamite. Let me know in the comments below. As I said before, I'm trying to move away from the drama that happened, but I mean, I had to talk about it within this episode because it was addressed on Dynamite in different ways, but it was addressed on Dynamite. Thank you so much. Signing off. Bye.